Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this Tuesday morning, and we have to get into such a pertinent conversation right now. From a young age, boys are taught one message, and that's to not cry. And in South Africa, the silence has become absolutely deadly. Now listen to these facts. Suicide is now the leading cause of death for boys and men aged between 15 to 24, and more than 10,800 South African men took their own lives, and that was in 2022 alone.
Yeah, these are crazy statistics, but listen, many more remain silently addicted, isolated, or even just angry. And it's not because they want to be, but it's because they were never taught another way to feel. So this Youth Month and Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, yes, we are in it right now. We are asking the question, what happens to boys who grow up without a language for pain? And how do we unlearn generations of emotional suppression?
Sure.
Now, these are loaded questions, so we've got a loaded panel for you. And joining us are two voices with lived experience and practical insight. Firstly, award-winning comedian Kanyisa Jam, as well as our resident psychologist right now. We are absolutely loving the nuggets of gold. Charles David's in the building. So, gents, thank you for being a part of a much-needed conversation, something that shouldn't just happen in Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, but all throughout the year. Every time we're seeing gents, I think this is welcome. But firstly, how are both of you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good, yeah.
Good answer.
Feeling optimistic.
That's
so
good.
I'm in a good space.
I like that. Charles, yourself?
Awesomely well. You're just getting me here very early in the morning, but I want
Grateful for that,
Yeah, we got
gentlemen.
some coffee for you, Charles. Don't even stress about it. But let's get to the bottom of this. We often say that men don't talk, right? They just kind of get by day to day. But I'm curious as to what is behind this. What's at the bottom of this, that we have this societal stigma that men don't talk?
So I don't think it's that men don't talk. I think we're not creating the necessary space for them to talk. I mean, I certainly see if men come and sit on the couch with me, then they talk, and even the emotionality and things that comes through. But I think it's about the upbringing where it is about boys don't cry, or I remember a time in the police where everybody said cowboys don't cry.
Sure.
But actually it's a suppression of that emotion, and when we don't allow them, it becomes the silent, but it's there. It's not that they don't have emotion, it's a repressed emotion that there is. You know?
That's so sad.
Kalisa, was this an experience that you kind of had growing up as well? I know it's something shared with many men where it's like you don't have these environments where you get to have proper conversations with your dad. It's kind of just like a be strong, deal with it. It's almost like his past trauma just gets handed to you.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case. And I went to one of those sort of all-boys schools that have like a traditional sort of way of doing things and how things are done. And we were never taught to show emotion or, talk about it. There were no safe spaces. There wasn't even, sort of student psychologist to go see. So it was a very tough environment to even, start the conversation of who do I even go to begin talking about my feelings and whatnot. And then at home, it's also, there wasn't an open environment there. So growing up, it was a difficult situation, when you're faced with, especially in your teen years, when you've, faced with certain challenges, you don't have anyone to speak to, and then it's almost that usual men must just, toughen up, or boys must suck it up kind of mentality. Yeah, and that's sort of shifted for some guys into their 20s and 30s. So yeah, it's hard to unlearn, but that's how we were raised.
Like a preconditioning of sorts, which
Exactly
is so toxic when we think about what happens when we grow up.
Definitely.
It's like, oh.
And I was going to touch on that, these narratives that we have for men that they need to provide, right? Women nurture the home and men provide, especially when it comes to financial stability. And how do you even balance or navigate that space where, sure, I need to provide for the home, but also I have emotions. So how do I bring both of those to the table?
I think what is important is the almost the kind of navigation that provision includes vulnerability.
Sure.
And showing up emotionally, whether it's as a husband, as a partner, as a dad, because it's part of that. But the idea is also, and I see it. I mean, we in South Africa, we have a lot of children growing up in a single parent household.
Yeah.
Where it's a mother raising them. But even the woman in the boy's life say to them, you have to toughen up and you don't speak about emotions. I always make the example of if you have two 3-year-olds running around, a boy and a girl, and both falling and their knees bleeding. There's particular things we say to the girl, ach, shame, and they can show that emotion. But if it's the boy, we say, hey, don't cry, so toughen up. But then the first thing that we expect when that same boy becomes later man and go into a relationship, we expect them to have the emotional language where we've been saying to them, you don't express that from us. So we socialize into that kind of space. But for men to realize that it is about that, even vulnerability means that I'm providing. And that's a mental shift that we have to make.
Sure.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I mean, being strong as a man is something that we're hearing is a conditioning that takes place when we're younger. And I think what we want to dive into is how does a man be vulnerable yet strong? How does he express his emotions but not necessarily show that weakness? And this is what we're going to do in terms of our second part of our conversation, because we can't waste this incredible panel, Mzansi. So we're going to dive into how do we practically approach this? What if you're a man that wants to express your feelings? How do we navigate this? Well, we've got the pros here. We're going to help you navigate this in just a second, but a pertinent conversation needs to be had right now. And I'd encourage all gents out there to maybe make some time to just do exactly that. Whether you're at school, whether you're chatting to your dad, why not find a moment to just be honest with your feelings, with your emotions. But we're going to discuss more practical ways to approach this in just a bit. But let's find out how else we are getting assistance. And I think Zanele knows exactly how.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Hey, I'm Zanzi. Welcome back at your Feel Good Breakfast Show, celebrating Youth Month, but also more importantly, celebrating men's mental health awareness today. And the real healing doesn't mean abandoning masculinity. It means evolving it. Now, for far too long, being a man has been reduced to one thing, and that's provision. And when financial strain hits, so does a crisis of identity. But what if we redefine provision, not just as money, but as presence? This is something I want us all to think about right now.
Absolutely. And on our panel, we still have Shal as well as Jam Jam right here with us. And Jam Jam, I'm going to start with you. We all know you to be the funny guy, right?
Yeah.
Making people laugh and hopefully making yourself laugh as well. But I wonder, when the laughter fades, what really happens? Do you find that it is a great conduit to, process emotion when you do get on stage? And when you get off stage, is it helpful?
The thing is, you gotta make sure that you understand that there's entertainment part, which is making the people laugh, and then there's actually your real life. And your real life is where you actually are dealing with whatever you are making people laugh with. So for me, it's always a thing of that pain for the stand-up comedian when they talk about it on stage, that pain still exists off stage. So I always tell guys, so, especially if I hear when someone sounds like they're going through something and they're dealing with it on stage, I always tell them, the best solution is to go seek professional help, because as funny as it is on stage, or that's how we as comedians deal with our issues. We make a funny joke about it, and the shield is, laugh at this and laugh at the pain. But when you go home and you still have to deal with that pain, you need healthy outlets to be able to deal with the pain. And for me, the first thing that I used was professional help. I went to clinical psychologist and actually started working on my problems and working on these issues, and the results are there for themselves to show. So I always tell guys, professional and personal, there mustn't be a blur. You must have a clear distinction between two, and make sure that your personal is taken care of before the professional.
Yeah, man. And listen, can I say kudos to you for actually going out to seek that help, because it takes a lot of strength, I think, in a man to actually go and be honest with themselves and say, listen, I'd like to go get that help. And it's something that a lot of gents out there are shying away from. I think it's the strongest thing you can do as a man, to go and help yourself. And take a page out of Jam Jam's book. I mean, he's glowing right now thanks to the decisions he's made. But let's talk about something maybe more practical, if we can, in terms of many men out there trying to deal with a situation where they've been brought up as a man, brought up as a provider, and someone that also wants to create a environment for their family, for their people, one that doesn't involve stress or things to worry about. So as a man, I will naturally, willingly, with honor, take this on myself. I'll take on the financial strain. I'll take the stress on, because I don't want to add this to the environment of lekkerness I've created. But at what point in a man's world does he cross that line where he needs to have the conversation and he needs to be honest with his partner and say, I've got feelings, I need to express it, and I may need help?
And also, how does he do it?
Yeah, sure. Where's that moment exactly?
I think I always say the gateway emotion is irritability.
Okay, okay.
So if I start feeling more and more irritable, then I know something is not okay,
Yeah.
which then means I have to speak to, I have to talk about it.
Like a trigger of sorts.
That's almost the kind of trigger, because remember, irritability and those kind of things, the emotion after that is actually anger.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, so we all see it okay for men to actually express anger. Because that's the okay emotion, but
Yeah, that's so true. The only emotion we allow.
we allow
Yeah.
is actually anger. But if you really look at it, and I've seen it, that anger so many times masks sadness within men.
Yeah.
So when everybody says to a man comes to me and they say, I come here because my wife said I have anger issues, then I actually know it's sadness.
Yeah.
And then when we unpack that, we actually see those are the kind of things. And we have to, and I always say to all young couples that start off, I always keep on saying to them, you have to learn to how to do you as a new couple, a new family, start having feeling conversations, because we don't have it in our family of origin. We just don't, even from the woman's side. And we always think that is in place, women. But as I'm saying, I see it all the time. And I see how men more and more are actually within their friendship circle starting to have that conversations. If it means that I do that with my own male friendship group, it's somewhere that we must just create the spaces for them. And that is really what it, because I always say I don't even like to call it that I do therapy. I keep on saying I create a space where people feel free to actually express the emotion that they need to express it in. And I'll give you an example of it. I mean, married for 15 years, and he came to
well
me,
done. Yo, nice.
and he says to me, here's the divorce papers that my wife served to me, that she says
After
here that I
15
got served on yesterday. And when I unpacked it, and we only had one session where we talked about what it is that he feels, what he needs to say. He went home, told his wife where he sits emotionally, and the next week he came back and he says his wife tore up the divorce papers. Now that shows you that even your partner in your life is ready to listen to those kind of things, but you just have to open up. Take that first step, because as I'm always saying, strength in vulnerability. This whole thing around positive masculinity actually says that I can be vulnerable, and so it's not only about expressing emotion, but you're born with the right to heal.
Sure.
And that's what we mustn't forget.
I
So I
love
was going
that.
to ask, I mean, I can pose it to both of you, gents. You touched on positive masculinity. What does healthy masculinity look like? What are examples of that?
For me, I think it's especially like in my friend circles, being able to speak up when you're not okay, and have like positive reinforcements around you. And I think especially in male groups, that's not a big thing. We like talking about sort of artificial things like sports and what those things are like. When we ask each other how we're doing, we must be honest with each other and say, hey man, I'm not in a good space, and then advise each other like maybe this is what you can do and whatnot. So the conversation and what we need to learn about the conversations we have with each other as men, I think there's a room for improvement there in friend circles, because you're always in close interaction with your friends, spend a lot of time with them. So if the conversation is always just about sport or what the score was, that doesn't foster any change in this whole. And this is what we're trying to get. We're trying to have these conversations so men can change how they speak to each other.
Absolutely. We're doing it right now. We actually two men sitting here on the couch and speaking about that. And I hope that is really what everybody watching it gets as well, and especially for the men out there. Because I do see that men are, because if you just in your friendship circle, and I think we have to start doing it intentionally.
Yeah.
That we actually start saying that, and it just needs one guy in that friendship bro group, man, right?
Yeah.
To start saying those kind of things, and you see how it changes, that everybody's actually ready for that. And the kind of advice and things that you can get from that male circle friends, we must just do it more.
I think it's eliminating that autonomous response of, hey, how are you doing? Now I'm good, now I'm lekker, now I'm fine. And actually take a moment to be honest in that question and say, you know what, I'm actually stressed today. Oh, I'm actually feeling this kind of way. And I think that's what we really need to be showing up to, is maybe with our friend circle, be the one that starts that honesty and starts that conversation. Gents, I can't thank you enough for being a part of what I think is the most pertinent conversation, one which I hope we can echo and just have going right throughout the month and throughout the year. So thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for showing us what strength actually looks like, and it looks good on both of you. So with that, I think we also had this conversation to you, Mzansi, and there was a myth going around about men and emotions that needs to be challenged right now. And we asked you, what were some of those myths? What were some of the things that you've maybe experienced for yourself? We've asked you to send a voice note to 063 036 9649 with the hashtag Expresso Show. And Carissa, have the people come through?
I think the people have come through, and we would love to hear from you. A couple of comments that we have to go through because they were that good. So let's start out over here with Mzwake. Mzwake says, good morning, fam. The society of men in general need a constant reminder with respect to issues that relate to self-care. We have to go out to SPAs for their health checkups. Thank you so much.
Ooh, and by SPAs, I'm assuming that's spas. That's just a space where you can.
I was like, tell me more about this group.
What is this
SPA?
organization? Yeah. I'm sure gents definitely agree with that sentiment.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes, more of that.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Let's see what other comments have come through, because Mzansi definitely has opinions on this. And obviously, Mark Gavin always has an opinion, our family member. So let's hear what he has to say. And Mark says, good morning, Expresso Show. The heart of a man is very much like the sea. It has its storms, it has its tides and in its depths, and it has its myths that only we can challenge ourselves about manhood. And it's all about manhood. So saying that there's a special sort of a language that is inherent within men, I don't know. It definitely seems peculiar when you are addressing the situation. But I think honesty breaks that barrier often. Charles, have you experienced this with your conversations?
Absolutely. As soon as you become honest with what it is, then you but because if you raise the question when you're in a group of males and you then immediately say, oh, I've experienced the same.
Yes.
But they wouldn't take the first step until you do it.
So you've got to open the door and
You
keep
have
it
to
open
open the
for the
door
rest
for
of your
them.
gents.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Taba Singh, let's see what you had to say. Thank you so much for getting in touch, saying that one of the unfair and it puts a lot of unnecessary pressure in men is that they're expected to know and do everything, not being considered as humans, and a lack of empathy.
Like almost like men can't make mistakes. You need to just get it right. What's wrong with you?
Women also add to that. I will say that much, that we just expect men to show up without complaining, without being frustrated, without being tired as well, because we feel like we carry a lot too. But I'm sure on the other hand, you guys are like, yo, the burden is heavy this side too, you know?
Is it right to ask in that instant, like, what do you expect of me? Like, what is it that you want? Is that a valid question?
I think it is. That's probably where the conversation with the couple needs to start. What's the expectation, from you in different kind of scenarios? Because then you know. Because it should just be communicated outright. Say, this is what it is, I expect.
Nice.
Oh, well, there's one last comment. Thank you so much, guys, for your input as well. Geraldine, let's see what you have to say.
Yeah, Gerald says, good morning, Expresso fam. I think one myth is that a man must deal with trauma and not cry. Nope. I say, grown men must give and vent to their emotions and cry it all out so that he can heal well. And
Beautiful.
Jam, you agree with that? You feel like there's a lot of men out there that are not healing, right?
Yeah, and that whole thing that men don't cry, and I remember a funeral a couple of years ago at home, and there were some gents who were crying, and they were being told not to cry. I think that's such an outdated mentality, and a good cry is good for your emotional well-being and good to let it out. So yeah, I've definitely support what was said there.
Yes, that's beautiful. Geraldine, Jam, Shawl, Ryle, Carissa, we're all saying it. Shed a tear or 5, it's okay. You're more than welcome to do so. And do know that we do have a suicide hotline on our screens right now. If you are struggling and you feel you can't reach out to anyone around you, it is toll-free. Make that call and make sure that you are in a better position so that you can show up in the world.
Absolutely. And again, a massive thank you to our gents here, representing all gents out there. We want to have a conversation. We want you to show up. So be honest and maybe be vulnerable. You never know what strength can occur from this. But for now, we're going to carry on with Tuesday because we've got a lot of choices to make when it comes to good conversation. We're going to get some boots on these feet as
We
well.
do,
And we
please.
are absolutely ready for winter. It's around the corner of Zanzibar. We need your help, so don't go anywhere. See you soon.